Today's math strategy video is on understanding what a fraction is. So before we get started, we're going to talk a little bit about some vocabulary that's going to be really important for you to know. So what a fraction is that it is representing a piece of a whole. So we have, our whole numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So a fraction is something that is not quite to a whole. It's going to be a piece of it. So we're going to look at different kinds of fractions. So the first thing is you can see this model right here, and it is broken into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. Okay, and we have one little piece right here that is shaded in. So this represents a whole. Although it's been broken into pieces, but it represents a whole. And so each one of these is a piece of that whole. So here we have one piece that is shaded. So this represents one piece out of the 6. Now this number on top, it represents our numerator. And the number on the bottom represents our denominator. So our denominator is our whole. It's all the pieces put together. Our numerator is the piece. It's the piece that we're looking at. So these vocabulary words are going to be very, very important. Now, when you have let me clear this off. When you have a fraction that has just one piece, like this one right here that we said was 1/6, this is called a unit fraction. And this is a special type of fraction that just represents one piece out of a whole. Let's look at this one down here. This little piece right here is shaded in, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. So we have 1/8. This is our numerator, and this is our denominator, and this is also a unit fraction. Now let's look at this one right here. This one has more pieces colored in. So we have, or shaded in rather. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. 4 pieces shaded in. So this is our numerator. And then we have 6 as our denominator, which 6 is the whole, makes up the whole thing. So we have our denominator again. Okay, this is not a unit fraction because it doesn't represent one piece out of the whole. This represents 4 pieces out of the whole. So this one's not a unit fraction. Okay, let's look at some other strategies. All right, let's talk about some fraction models. Now, all of these are going to represent a type of model. Some of them are going to be fraction models and some of them are not. So let's talk about which ones are. Let's say that I have this. I'm going to use yellow. Let's say, if it'll go, it'll do it for me. Say that I have yellow here. I'm going to shade in this piece right here. Now, this will represent, once again, my numerator, and then I have 4 pieces total. So this is 1/4. 1 is my numerator, 4 is my denominator, and we have a unit fraction. Okay, let's look here at the square. The square is divided into 1, 2, 3 pieces. Oh, but this one looks very strange. So what's wrong with this is that these pieces are not equal. And one of the rules for being able to be a fraction is that we have to have equal pieces. So you remember in the previous slide, we talked about a fraction is, something that is not going to be quite a whole. It is represented as pieces. So but now we also have learned that it also needs to be equal, and these pieces are not equal. In order for it to be equal, I would need to cut it here and here. So this one is just not a fraction. Okay, let's look at this next one. If I colored in or shaded in these 3 pieces out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3/5. Now this 3/5 would represent a fraction, but it's not a unit fraction. Let's shade in here we go. Let's shade these in. Tell me what fraction you think this would represent. Well, we have 5 pieces shaded out of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 of the pieces are shaded. Let's look down here. I shade in this one piece. We would have 1/3. 1/3 is a unit fraction. Okay, right here we don't have any pieces here. We just have a whole. So I'm going to represent that as one whole. And we will talk about whole numbers a little later on, but right now, this is not going to be a fraction. Okay, let's change our color up. Let's say that I color in this piece right here. I would have 1/2. 1/2 of this is shaded. That's 1/2. So 1 is my numerator, 2 is my denominator. Look down here. This one kind of reminds me of this guy over here. We don't have equal pieces. This piece right here is not equal to this down here, so it cannot be a fraction. Okay, let's talk about one last thing here today. We have 2 unit fractions here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. So we have 1/5. And then over here we also have 1, 2, 3, 4. We also have 1/5. Do you think that these 2 are the same? Or are they different? Well, I think they're a little of both. So they both represent the same fraction, but the whole is a different size. So we can't really compare these because even though this is 1/5 and this is 1/5, this piece is drastically, and if I can pull it off, I can compare and I can see that even though they represent the same fraction of their whole, the wholes are different sizes, so this piece is still larger. That is the end of today's strategy video.